Hey everyone, ready to dive in? Today, we're tackling green real estate development.
Oh, interesting.
And right off the bat, I gotta say, this isn't just some, save the trees talk.
Right.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty of buildings that are efficient, sustainable.
Absolutely.
And get this, they can actually save you money.
Yeah, it's really incredible how far this has all come.
I know. So, for this deep dive, we've got some really cool source material.
Definitely.
I've got blueprints, articles, the whole shebang.
Oh, wow.
And our vision, should we choose to accept it, is to figure out how this whole green building thing actually works.
Yeah, cut through the noise.
Exactly. So our source material jumps right into sustainable materials. And I'm not going to lie, it reads like a dream home catalog.
Yeah.
Bamboo, recycled steel, non-toxic paints.
It does sound pretty high tech.
Right. But is it all just fancy marketing, or does this stuff actually make a difference?
Well, let's take bamboo, for example. Have you ever actually held a piece? It's shockingly strong.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it grows so fast, which is huge from a sustainability standpoint.
So it's like the eco-warrior of lumber.
Exactly. And unlike cutting down old-growth forests, bamboo actually helps fight climate change. It absorbs CO2 as it grows, like way faster than trees.
Okay, now that's impressive. But recycled steel, I'll admit, when I think green building, steel doesn't exactly scream eco-friendly.
I get it, but hear me out. Think about all the energy it takes to mine new ore, ship it, process it into steel. With recycled steel, we're basically skipping all that.
So it's like giving those materials a second life.
Precisely. And often the recycled stuff is just as strong, if not stronger. It's pretty remarkable.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And non-toxic paints, that's got to be a no-brainer, right? Especially for families with kids.
Oh, absolutely. Most people don't realize how conventional paints can affect indoor air quality.
Right.
And that can lead to all sorts of problems, especially for little ones with developing lungs.
Makes sense. It's funny. I always thought green features were mostly about, saving the planet.
Sure.
Which is obviously important.
Of course, yeah.
But the more we talk about this, the more I'm realizing it's also about creating healthier, more livable spaces.
It's all connected, What's good for the planet is often good for us, too.
Totally. So speaking of good for us, our source material also dives into energy efficiency.
A crucial aspect, for sure.
It talks about everything from proper insulation and LED lighting to those fancy Energy Star appliances.
All important pieces of the puzzle.
But honestly, that just sounds like smart home design, not necessarily green. What's the connection there?
Well, think of it this way. A well-insulated home with efficient appliances. It just makes sense from every angle.
Right.
It's more comfortable year-round, you're not wasting energy, and your bills are lower.
Okay, so it's a win-win for your wallet and the environment. I can get on board with that.
Exactly. And you'd be surprised how much of a difference those small changes can make.
Speaking of things that make a difference, let's talk about solar panels. Are they really becoming mainstream, or is that still a luxury thing?
It's becoming more common than you might think.
Really?
Yeah. Remember those big, clunky solar panels from a few years back?
Oh, yeah.
Technology has come a long way. Now they're sleeker, way more efficient, and with government incentives.
Right, I've heard about those.
They can be surprisingly affordable. Plus, imagine generating your own clean energy. It's pretty empowering.
It is, I can see that. And speaking of empowering, our source material also talks about rainwater harvesting systems.
Oh, yeah. Those are fascinating.
And I gotta admit, the whole idea of collecting rainwater to flush toilets, it sounds a bit out there.
I know what you mean. It does sound a little rustic.
But does it actually work? Can it really make a difference?
You'd be surprised, especially with water scarcity becoming a bigger issue every year. It's a pretty brilliant solution.
So it's like turning your home into a mini water conservation station.
Exactly. You collect the rainwater, filter it, and use it for all sorts of things. Watering your lawn, even flushing toilets. It's amazing.
So we're talking about having your own personal water supply, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Are these green features only for the super eco-conscious? Or can regular folks like me actually afford this stuff?
That's a question I get a lot.
Yeah.
And it's actually a common misconception. Green building used to be seen as a luxury thing.
Right.
But these days, it's becoming way more accessible. You can find these features in all sorts of homes at different price points.
Really? I mean, that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's not just about high-end homes anymore.
So even if you're like on a budget, you can still find a place with some of these cool green features.
Absolutely. And honestly, it just makes sense. I mean, who doesn't want lower energy bills?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like saving the planet and saving money at the same time.
It's a win-win. And, our source material actually goes into the financial side of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it talks about how green features can seriously boost your property value. Interesting. So not only are you, doing good for the environment, but you're also making a smart investment.
And I bet businesses are catching on to this too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. A company that goes green, it just shows they care, right?
Yeah.
It attracts eco-conscious customers, employees.
Yeah.
It's a smart move all around.
So it's like good for the planet, good for your wallet, good for business. It's like this whole interconnected thing.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those connections.
Okay, so let's say, someone listening is thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but where do I even start?
That's a great question. And, it can feel overwhelming at first, all this information.
Right.
But honestly, the first step is just to educate yourself. There's tons of resources out there, websites, organizations dedicated to green building. Do some research, figure out what matters most to you.
So you're saying, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Sustainable materials, energy efficiency, even those futuristic water harvesting systems.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has.
Right.
But I got to ask, what's next? Where do we go from here? What does the future of green real estate look like?
Oh, that's a fun one. You ready to get a little futuristic?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Hit me with your best shot. What does the future hold?
Okay, so imagine this. Smart homes that are so smart, they practically read your mind.
Okay, now you're just messing with me.
I'm serious. We're talking about buildings that use AI and sensors to optimize everything. Like imagine your house could adjust the temperature, the lighting, all based on your habits and the weather outside.
Wow, so it's like anticipating your needs before you even know you have them.
Exactly. And that level of efficiency, it's not just good for you, it's good for the planet. Less waste, less energy consumption.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. But what about the actual buildings themselves? Are we going to be living in spaceships or something?
Well, maybe not spaceships, but we are seeing a really cool trend of integrating nature into urban spaces.
Like those rooftop gardens I've seen popping up.
Yes, those are amazing. They provide extra insulation. They reduce the urban heat island effect.
Right, which makes cities more livable, especially as the climate changes.
Exactly. And they just make people feel good, being surrounded by greenery, even in a concrete jungle.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's like bringing bit of the outdoors inside. So it's kind of amazing to think how far we've come. We've gone from basic recycling to these incredible high-tech, eco-friendly buildings.
It's pretty remarkable, right?
It really is. So for our listeners who are feeling, inspired to maybe dip their toes into the green building world, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's so much information out there. Talk to experts, visit green buildings, do your research, find what works for you.
That's great advice. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be recording a deep dive from your very own eco-friendly studio.
I like the way you think.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of green real estate. It's been an eye-opening experience, and I don't know about you all, but I'm feeling pretty hopeful about the future. Until next time, keep exploring and keep asking those big questions.